Hi, everybody. This is David Nevins for Citybiz List, and I'm really delighted today as our guest, Mr. Bob Cawley, who heads a company that I think still to this day most Marylanders know your business, Bob, by virtue of your radio advertising and your great jingle, RCM&D. I'm not going to attempt to hum it or sing it, although you're free to do that. But Bob, welcome to the program.
Great, David, thanks for having me. And let's make a pact. Neither of us will sing it. How's that?
Fair. That's fair enough. Bob, you're RCM&D. Let me just ask you. Tell us about. I believe 130 plus years old. Tell us. Just walk us through one of Baltimore's great successful business stories. Walk us through your history, the founding, and we'll get to the present over time.
Sure. So yes, a very rich history. 136 years old. 1885 was when the firm was founded, and it was at a time when, as you can imagine, insurance business and most financial businesses were just getting their legs underneath of them in the U.S. And our firm at the time was primarily a firm that dealt with one or two insurance companies. And it was strictly at the time, like most insurance companies, there were primarily firms that dealt with fire insurance. And of course, as the economies grew and businesses became mature, our firm made its various changes. And about 1969, when it was the birth of the jingle, was a combination of a firm called Riggs, Warfield, Rollison, and Michaels, Fenwick, and Downs. And that laid the cornerstone primarily for I would say, the next 30 or 40 years of the company. I came in roughly, I think it was 1997, with a couple other people, and sort of launched the next generation of the company, if you will. And we expanded our products and services to do both insurance, employee benefit advisory, a lot of alternate financing around captive insurance companies, instituted specialization as part of the main go-to-market strategy, opened offices in DC and Richmond and Virginia Beach and Philadelphia and Harrisburg. And today we're very proud of where we've come to, all the while staying independently held, no external capital. That is our mantra, if you will. Because we believe clients and people who are serious about this business with respect to their careers are better served in these types of environments.
So, Bob, I know you recently announced a big merger with the Oswald companies, and that makes your firm one of the largest of your kind privately held in the nation. Correct me if I'm wrong. So talk to us a little bit about what this next iteration accomplishes and allows you to do for the benefit of your clients.
Sure. So you are correct. We, after this merger was closed at the end of the year, we became the fifth largest firm in the country that is built like ourselves. Let me give you a little history of what was happening in the industry that brought this to conclusion. We were always a well-regarded top 100 independent broker in the U.S., what they called a super regional, if you will. And that generally meant that you had sophisticated clients, you had multiple locations, you had a certain amount of size of your revenue, you serviced a broad base of clientele, and typically those clients were multi-state, multinational, and international in the true sense. We were positioned right around the 60s on that list of top 100. Oswald was a firm that I've known for 20 plus years. We're both very active in a firm called Assurex Global. It's a firm that we own together across the country. That was the primary way that many of us were doing our international business, since we didn't have locations on the ground. Over about those 20 years, we became very close with each other. There's about 5 of us in the US that look like us and built like us. And So we were all looking at our futures and trying to figure out, how do we sustain these great old firms with these rich histories and yet carry it into a brand new competitive world. So we started looking around in the industry and just give you some quick statistics that kind of drove some of our thinking. So the top 100 is sort of a critical list when you're looking for larger, more complex businesses to gain as clients. Since about 2010, there's been roughly 5,000 acquisitions in the insurance industry. Now, most of them were smaller, and it's how many banks got into the business and other firms got into the business. In 2020 alone, there were 700 transactions.
Wow.
In the last 4 years, the top 100, over 33 transactions occurred within that top 100, 8 of them driven by publicly traded companies, 22 of them by private equity-backed players. And today, the top 100 is probably 45 to 48% external equity owned. So what's driving that is that there's been very little organic growth. So it's been a lot of driven by acquisition across the industry. And we believe that firms that can grow in an adequate manner, which we would describe as 50 to 70% greater than the average growth in the industry, and have reasonable margins, that they were better propositions for clients' long-term service and for staff looking for long-term careers. Margins have been pushed up dramatically in the business to, I believe, levels that are unsustainable. And they begin to demonstrate themselves in retention of client. So our margins are good, they're healthy, our balance sheets are healthy, but there is a reality that our competitors were getting bigger, and we were seeing new competitors in the market, which drove a lot of our thinking to this merger, so that together we could build better resources around data engineering, data science, actuarial services, things that you wouldn't have thought of that were part of your group 5 years ago. And that's what really drove it. We had very strong specialties in areas where they did not have certain strengths. They had certain specialties where they were much stronger than us. So combined, we feel very good about where we are, and we see a very bright future.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe you're going to retain a co-headquarters between Baltimore and Cleveland, unlike sadly too many other Baltimore firms that have become subordinate to out-of-town firms.
Yeah, so that's correct. And we've seen that in our own business, obviously, with locations leaving. Very strong regional businesses that no longer see their future in Baltimore. And our thought always had been that our independence, our brands, our cultures, the way we serve clients, even though we had, I would say, incredibly similar cultures to the Oswald folks, and I would say most people that are in that independent environment have that. We thought it was important to maintain that, and being part of the architecture of it, the two of us coming together to do this, even though we were the smaller player, we've been able to gain equal footing in that process. And, we're very committed to the city here, and I'd love to see, better business generation going around.
So Bob, I know many of our viewers and subscribers are without a doubt clients of RCM&D, and you've mentioned a couple of times your company culture. Tell us a little bit about that culture. I know you're very proud of it. What does it stand for, and how does it affect your clients and your employees?
Well, that's a great segue into some of the things I wanted to share about the people I work with and the type of work we do and the people we do it for. But I think I've said this to many people around here. Our generation that has been the owners of this firm for the last 15 or 20 years, I really view us as guardians of the past and protectors of the future. This firm has built its culture over 135 years. Every generation that drives the car for 20 years or so gets to drive it a little differently and take it a different direction. But by and large, it's the same company that it was certainly when I came here 25 years ago, and my guess much longer than that. We believe that we support the communities we serve, and that means both financially as well with people, as well with our hands as much as our money. And we rally around an annual event, which we're very happy about. It's the seminal event of what we do, which is the RCM&D Regatta. It might be the best kept secret in town, and we'll have to work on that, David. Maybe you can help us with that. But
that's what we're here for.
Yeah, the regatta is. I can remember in 1997 when I came here, there was probably 3 people with an idea and some energy and looking for a little bit of money to support a fundraising event that was different than most fundraising events. And at the time, and it was a sailboat race in the harbor. And it was such a great connection to the city and many of our clients. And as many things do, that it built over time and built over time. And today we're well over $100 million raised. We have a process for soliciting charities. We probably get 30 to 40 requests each year. We pick 4 charities and share with them anywhere between $25,000 and $30,000 each. And they typically are the charities that are, mid-level. They're not startups, nor are they the massive organizations that we're all familiar with. Where our $30,000 is meaningful, and we can be part of the day-to-day application of those funds when we have staff working at many of their facilities. So we're very excited about that.
Yeah, and I've attended it, and kudos again to you and your colleagues for that effort. Bob, before we go, as I said, we have tens of thousands of people potentially viewing this, and most of them are C-suite folks. Certainly, a number of them are already clients of RCM&D, but for those who aren't, talk about your areas of focus as a business insurance firm.
Okay. Well, David, I wasn't nervous until you said 10,000 people or tens of thousands. I was a little nervous when you said we're going to sing the jingle, but
well, I'm going to still try to get you to do that before we part.
Yeah. So it's interesting. Everyone knows the words I'm about to say, particularly in the Baltimore or Mid-Atlantic area of feds, eds, and meds. We are a significant provider to probably, I would say, 8 specific industry groups. And the number one in that area would be healthcare and life science companies. We are fortunate to serve a lot of the both rural and community-based hospitals, as well as some health systems, for all of their insurance needs, with a real specialty in loss control, meaning preventing the claim from happening, and in our medical malpractice work. In that area, we are one of the largest captive insurance providers in the Mid-Atlantic region by far. We also have a great presence in the higher education community, both K through 12, as well as colleges and universities. They typically are private liberal arts, but we do work with some of the public universities in the Mid-Atlantic area, financial institutions, professional services firms, with our partners now with Oswald and Unison Risk. We have a much stronger construction business. We've had a good one, but they've added quite a bit to that. Real estate has always been a big segment of our business. And more recently, a much greater focus in the defense contracting industry, working with both supplier diversity initiatives and as well as, I would say, a little more nuanced type work given the government requirements.
Well, I know that I've known of your firm and you for a couple decades now, and so we're not making a sales pitch, but I would say any of the viewers who are interested in a high integrity, high expertise business insurance firm, give RCM&D a call. Hey, Bob, just before totally switching gears, just before we part ways, and this program will be seen up and down the East Coast, but just for the Baltimoreans who are watching. During this pandemic, I'd like to ask everybody, a unique question. So, the past year, have you and your family come across any great restaurants with that deliver takeout or pickup that you want to share the name of of a local business with some of our viewers so that they can take advantage as well?
And what a great question. As we all know, most of them are closed, but I'm going to give a plug. If I have a plug to give, I'm going to give two plugs. One is to Cooper's North in Mays Chapel. They have found a way to stay outside longer than anybody I know. Have done just a great job, and that's a casual hamburger and a beer kind of place. And then always the favorite, at least once a week, it's Joey Chu's in Green Spring Station, because you got to have that Chinese fix. So
I've been there many times. What do you order?
Well, last night was the house rice noodles and some chicken wings.
Well, good. That must be why you're looking so good. Bob, anything? Thank you so much. And I don't know if I forgot to ask you anything that you want to share about the company. I know you've had this recent merger with Oswald Companies, and I know you guys have an incredibly bright future. Did I forget to ask you anything that you'd like to share with our viewers?
The impression that I always want to leave with people is that we're in an interesting environment at a time when I think there's a lot of external capital, particularly in the private equity world. I'm not saying it's bad capital, but it's not necessarily friendly capital when you're looking at ways to serve clients, ways to serve employee careers over a long-term basis. And this is the very thing we've tried to avoid. We think clients and staff are better off in the environment we've created.
Bob, thanks so much. And Baltimore is really proud of what you've achieved. Good luck going forward.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you very much.